Most people think being good with money means having a big salary, owning property, or hitting milestones like saving $100,000. But in reality, being good with money isn't always obvious. It often shows up in small, subtle ways that you might not even recognize in yourself. In fact, some of the strongest money habits don't look flashy at all. They're quiet signs that you're on the right track, even if you don't feel wealthy yet. So in this video, we're going to look at the subtle clues that prove you're good with money, even if you haven't noticed them. One of the first clues is that you handle small emergencies without panicking. Imagine your car breaks down or your phone suddenly stops working. Instead of rushing to borrow money or maxing out a credit card, you already have some savings or an emergency fund to cover it. That small cushion shows discipline. It's not about having a massive fortune, it's about building stability. People who live paycheck to paycheck often can't handle even a $500 problem. But if you can handle those surprises calmly, it's a clear sign you're better with money than you think. Another clue is that you don't upgrade your lifestyle as fast as your income grows. A lot of people fall into lifestyle creep. The moment they get a raise, they move to a bigger apartment, buy more expensive gadgets, or start eating out more often. If your income has increased, but you've resisted the urge to inflate your spending, that's financial maturity. It shows you know the difference between wanting more and needing more. Even if you don't feel wealthy, the fact that you've avoided lifestyle creep puts you ahead of most people. A third clue is that you think twice before making a purchase. This doesn't mean being stingy or overthinking every decision. It means you naturally pause and ask yourself, do I really need this? Will this add value to my life? That little gap between impulse and action is one of the strongest habits of financially secure people. It's not about denying yourself everything. It's about being intentional with your money. If you've ever walked away from buying something simply because it didn't feel worth it, that's a sign you're good with money. Another clue is that you don't fear checking your bank account. A lot of people avoid looking at their balances because they're scared of what they'll see. If you can log in, check your numbers, and know exactly what's coming in and going out, you've built trust with yourself. It means you're not hiding from your finances. Even if you don't have as much as you want, the fact that you're in control and aware is more powerful than you realize. Here's another subtle sign. You separate your wants from your needs. This may sound simple, but many people struggle with it. If you're able to tell the difference between what's necessary, like rent, food, and bills, versus what's optional, like subscriptions or new gadgets, you already have a strong financial foundation. Being able to prioritize needs first shows discipline. It's the difference between surviving comfortably and constantly being stressed about money. Another clue is that you've built a small buffer between paychecks. A lot of people live in a cycle where their money runs out a few days before payday. But if you often find yourself still having money left over by the time the next paycheck arrives, that's financial progress. Even if the amount is small, it means you're living below your means. That's one of the most important habits for building wealth over the long term. You might also notice that you value ownership more than consumption. This doesn't just mean investing in stocks or real estate. It could mean learning new skills, building something of your own, or putting money toward assets that grow in value instead of things that quickly lose it. If you prefer putting $200 into something that helps you earn or learn rather than spending it on something that fades, that's a clear sign you're already thinking like someone who builds wealth. Another clue is that you avoid high-interest debt whenever possible. You might have a mortgage, a car loan, or student loans, which are common. But if you actively avoid credit card debt or payday loans, it shows that you understand how destructive high-interest borrowing can be. Many people stay trapped for years simply because they rely on debt for lifestyle choices. If you've made it a habit to live within your means and avoid borrowing for wants, that's one of the clearest signs you're financially responsible. You might not feel wealthy, but if you've ever delayed gratification, choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasures, that's another clue. For example, skipping a night out so you can save for something bigger, or waiting for a sale instead of paying full price. These little habits compound over time. They don't feel like much in the moment, but over years they add up to financial freedom. Another subtle clue is that you know your priorities. Being good with money doesn't mean you never spend. It means you choose where to spend intentionally. Maybe you like spending on experiences, health, or family, but you cut back on areas that don't matter to you. This shows that you're not wasting money blindly. You've aligned your spending with your values, which is one of the smartest money habits there is. Here's another one. You think about opportunity cost, even if you don't call it that. Opportunity cost simply means realizing that when you spend on one thing, you can't spend on something else. If you've ever hesitated on buying something, because you thought about what else that money could do, whether saving, investing, or buying something more useful later, you're already practicing this principle. That simple pause shows you're assigning value to your money beyond the immediate purchase. Most people think only about the short term. Can I afford this right now? But you're considering the trade-offs, the future benefits, and the hidden cost of choosing one option over another. That habit, even if it seems small, is the foundation of financial awareness. It means you don't let money slip away without purpose. Another important clue is patience. If you're willing to play the long game with money, even in small ways, you're ahead of most people. For example, maybe you've set up automatic contributions to an investment account and let it grow without constantly checking. Or maybe you've stuck with a saving routine for months or years, even though the progress feels slow. That willingness to stay consistent without chasing instant results is incredibly rare. Most people quit too soon or get distracted by the next shiny thing. If you've developed the discipline to stick with your plan, you've built a skill that will pay off for decades. You might also notice that your financial stress is lower than it used to be. Even if you don't feel rich, you're no longer lying awake at night wondering how to cover your bills. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because of habits you've built over time. Maybe you track your spending more closely. Maybe you've built a small emergency fund. Or maybe you've learned to say no to unnecessary expenses. Whatever the reason, the fact that you've created breathing room means you're not just surviving anymore. You're quietly moving into stability, and that's one of the clearest signs you're good with money, even if you don't see it that way. Another clue is that you don't chase trends with your money. You've probably seen people rush into the latest hot investment, whether it's a stock, a new crypto project, or some business opportunity everyone is hyping. Often those trends end badly, leaving people with losses they could have avoided. If you're the type of person who pauses and asks, "Does this make sense for me? Do I understand how this works?" Before committing your money, that shows maturity. You're not letting fear of missing out drive your choices. Instead, you're focused on steady, sustainable progress. That independence protects your wealth more than you realize. Finally, one of the strongest clues is that you trust yourself with money decisions. This doesn't mean you get everything right, no one does. But you've built enough experience and discipline to believe in your ability to earn, save, and recover from mistakes. Many people live in constant fear of losing money because they don't trust themselves to rebuild. If you've developed confidence in your own ability to handle whatever comes your way, that's a powerful financial mindset. It frees you from fear and allows you to make smarter, calmer decisions over time. The truth is, most people don't give themselves credit for being good with money. They compare themselves to others, or they focus only on the milestones they haven't hit yet. But being good with money isn't always about visible success. It's about the small, consistent habits that compound in the background. If you recognize any of these subtle clues in yourself, it means you're already ahead of where you think you are. Being good with money isn't about perfection. It's about building discipline, making intentional choices, and slowly creating a foundation of stability. Wealth rarely happens overnight. It comes from years of small, smart decisions that add up to freedom. And if you're already showing these subtle clues in your daily life, you're not just on the right path. You're proving that you have what it takes to build lasting wealth, even if it doesn't feel like it today. The reality is that money progress doesn't always look exciting in the moment. It looks like saying no to things you can technically afford but don't really need. It looks like saving when no one else notices, investing even when it feels slow, and planning ahead when others are living day to day.